The United States just ranked 23rd in the 2026 World Happiness Report. 23rd, not third, not fifth, 23rd. And this is the country with the largest economy on earth. So, I mean, what exactly is going wrong? And why do so many Americans feel financially stressed, burned out, and unhappy despite living in one of the wealthiest nations in history? Now, before anyone gets upset, ranking 23rd isn't terrible. I mean, we're still doing better than most of the world, but when you're one of the richest countries on the planet, I think it's fair to ask why we're not doing better. I've been thinking about that question a lot lately. In conversations with friends, coworkers, family members, and even people I meet casually, I've noticed the same thing. It's a pattern. People don't seem angry so much as tired. Tired of worrying about money, tired of uncertainty, tired of feeling like, really just feeling like they're working hard, but not getting anywhere. And honestly, part of what caught my attention about this topic is that my own definition of success has changed over the years. And the older I get, the more I find myself questioning whether we're chasing the right things in the first place. I think the answer is more complicated than most people realize. One of the biggest pieces is financial stress. I've talked in my first videos about the rising cost of everyday life: housing, insurance, healthcare, groceries, utilities, transportation. Almost everyone, really almost everything, has gotten more expensive. And for many Americans, wages just simply have not kept pace. Housing's probably the clearest example. Buying a home today is dramatically more expensive relative to income than it was for previous generations. And I mean, renting isn't really much easier. And in many cities, rent consumes an enormous chunk of a person's paycheck. So millions of people end up feeling like they're running in place, kind of that treadmill analogy. They're working, they're paying their bills, they're doing everything they're supposed to do, but they're not getting ahead. And when that feeling drags on year after year after year, it starts affecting more than just your bank account. It starts affecting your entire outlook on life. One psychologist interviewed for this happiness report pointed out that younger generations are struggling especially hard because independence has become so much harder to achieve. A lot of young adults are delaying moving out, not because they don't want independence, but because they genuinely can't afford it. And over time, that frustration can turn into something that starts to look like hopelessness. Previous generations often believed that hard work would eventually lead to home ownership, to savings, and upward mobility. And for a lot of people today, work feels more like survival. They're paying bills, they're managing debt, they're trying to stay afloat, and quietly wondering when things are finally supposed to get easier. But financial stress is only part of the story, because if money were the only factor, like we've talked about before, right? Wealthy people would always be happy. And we know Like we said, that's not true. I think another major factor is the way we've defined success in America. We've become very good at measuring achievement, whether that be income or net worth or job title. In the case of the military, that would be rank or home value, social media followers. We're constantly comparing and contrasting, but we're not very good at measuring happiness. American culture rewards hustle. Work harder, earn more, build more, accomplish more. And if you're not constantly moving forward, you can start to feel like you're falling behind. Now, some people, they genuinely thrive in that environment, but for a lot of others, it just becomes exhausting. As I've gotten older, my own definition of success has shifted. Earlier in life, success was tied to promotions, accomplishments, checking boxes, accolades, and there's nothing wrong with those goals. But today, I find myself valuing different things. I mean, maybe that comes with age. Maybe it comes from being closer to retirement than to high school graduation. Either way, I think a lot more now about the quality of life than I do about status. Time with family or friends, time with even my dogs, travel, experiences, the freedom to actually enjoy life instead of just chasing the next milestone. I mean, I still work hard, still have a full-time job, I still have goals, but I don't feel that same urgent need to keep climbing. Military service taught me that life can change quickly. I've known people who spent decades chasing promotions and career milestones, only to look back and realize they never made time for what mattered most. And that's not a criticism, it's just a reminder that success and happiness aren't always the same thing. And that pressure doesn't just come from work, it follows us home every time we open our phones. In my last video, I talked about how easy it is to measure ourselves against really unrealistic standards. Social media has placed luxury lifestyles, expensive vacations, beautiful mansions, seemingly perfect lives directly in front of us every single day. And whether we realize it or not, it changes how we think. We start measuring our everyday reality against someone else's highlight reel, as I've said. What we don't see are the sacrifices, the setbacks, the stress, and the debt hiding behind those videos and images. We see the vacation, right? We don't see that credit card bill. We see the luxury car, but we don't see that monthly payment. The big, beautiful mansion, but not the financial pressure that comes with it. Over time, that kind of comparison is exhausting because no matter how well we're doing, There's always someone online that appears to be doing better. And I think that's one reason so many people feel burned out. Not because they're failing, but because they've been convinced that success means constantly chasing a moving target. A bigger house, a nicer car, a higher income. That's a big one, right? Everybody's always chasing a higher income. We all want more money, a better title, more followers, more status. I mean, frankly, more everything, more. The problem is that once you reach one goal, another immediately appears. The finish line keeps moving. And eventually, people find themselves exhausted from chasing a version of success they never actually defined for themselves. But even if you deleted every social media account tomorrow, there really would still be another problem: loneliness. Psychologists have increasingly now pointed to loneliness and social isolation as major contributors to unhappiness. People spend less time together than they once did. Families are busier, friends see each other less, communities feel weaker as a whole than they did in past generations. We're more digitally connected than any generation in history by far, yet many people report feeling more isolated than ever. I see both sides of that living here in the Tampa Bay area. The beaches are busy, restaurants are generally packed, events are crowded, people are clearly still enjoying life. But when you actually talk to them, many feel financially stretched, despite what appearances might suggest. Outward success doesn't always equal peace of mind. And that's something social media consistently hides from us. And unfortunately, loneliness isn't the only thing weighing on people. There's also a constant background of uncertainty that wears people down. Many Americans feel like they're one major event away from financial trouble, whether that be a job loss or a medical issue or a big repair bill for your house or your car, a family emergency. For a lot of households, any one of those things can cause serious hardship almost immediately. And that fear doesn't go away even when things are going well. Healthcare alone creates significant anxiety. Debt adds to it. Credit cards, auto loans, for many people, student loans. Debt is not just a financial burden, but for many people, it's an emotional one. And the job market has added another layer. We're seeing layoffs, we're seeing hiring freezes. Recently, we've seen a lot with AI concerns, economic uncertainty. Even people with stable jobs often find themselves wondering what comes next. Another sign that people are genuinely rethinking success can be found in higher education. I mean, let's be real. For years, the assumption was that more degrees, whatever debt it took to get them, was the path forward. And today, more people are questioning that. Some universities now have started lowering their MBA tuition or expanding scholarships because demand has weakened. More young people are exploring trade shows, or not trade shows, sorry, trade schools, where they can avoid debt and enter the workforce sooner, become a plumber, electrician, something like that. And I think what we're watching is a real reevaluation of what success actually means. And honestly, that might not be a bad thing, because when I step back and look at all of this, I don't think the core problem is that Americans are incapable of being happy. I think many people have simply been chasing someone else's definition of success, social media's definition of success, or society's definition of success, or even corporate America's definition. But for a lot of people, maybe even their family's definition of success. But here's the thing, they're not chasing their own definition. The good news is that many of the things that influence happiness are still within our control. We may not be able to control inflation or housing prices or what happens in Washington, D.C., but we can control how much we compare ourselves to others. We can control how we spend our time, the relationships we invest in, and whether we're building a life that actually aligns with our values. Success isn't the biggest house or the newest car or the most impressive title, at least not by itself. Success is building a life you genuinely enjoy living. And if more people focused on that instead of trying to keep up with everyone else, I suspect we'd be a much happier country. Here's the irony. The things many people are chasing in hopes of becoming happier may be the very things preventing them from feeling happy in the first place. More money, more status, more possessions, more validation. While some of the biggest contributors to happiness are really just far simpler: relationships, purpose, health, both physical and mental. We've discussed this before. Community, gratitude, time. Time is limited. And unlike a Lamborghini or a mansion, most of those things are available to far more people than they realize. I'm curious what you think. Do you think Americans are becoming less happy? And if so, what's the biggest reason? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you found today's discussion valuable, I'd appreciate a like and a subscription. It really helps the channel grow and helps more people find these conversations. And like always, keep learning, keep adapting, and I'll see you in the next one.